Saturday to join us.
Me.
Let's get straight into these papers. And we're going to start with the inside page of the Daily Mirror, of course, our top story today. Parliament being recalled as the government looks to try and save British Steel in Scunthorpe.
Yeah, and I saw your interview with Sarah Jones earlier, and I thought it was quite interesting that I thought she was taking pains not to say nationalised. She kept saying bringing under control. And I think that highlights the fact that this debate is extremely important, but there are potential pitfalls for Keir Starmer here. You will have people on the left of the Labour Party saying, well, why the hell aren't we going to nationalise more, water, for example, and perhaps other things. Obviously, the Conservatives will say, this is all very panicked, too little, too late, and why did you did you ban coal and coking mining? And even Plaid Cymru are very angry that they're stepping in to defend this particular steelworks in Scunthorpe, but not Port Talbot last autumn. So.
Yeah, I mean, she said it was different circumstances, and when I put to her, this is not nationalisation, she kind of raised her eyebrows. Saying, not yet.
Yes. If it looks like a duck and talks like a duck.
Yeah, used the word statist as well at one point during our conversation. But so we'll see what the debate is going to be like. It's going to pass, of course, because they have the huge majority. But
it will. And there are also going to be a lot of Tories that don't usually favour nationalisation jumping over themselves to say that this is a good idea and that we should proceed.
Well, Kemi Badenoch said it was last resort, but I was interested to see that Reform have been pushing for this for the past couple of weeks.
Yes, they have. Well, I mean, they're not instinctively a free market party, really, and they would argue, and I think many people would agree, that this is a strategically important industry, and we don't want to be in a position where we cannot make our own virgin steel. That would make us a real outlier in the G7. And they've also been very critical of elements of net zero, which they would say are playing into this decision as well. So.
Absolutely. All right, let's move on to the front of the Times now. We didn't get the chance to ask Sarah Jones about this, but we've heard from Keith Kellogg, who is a part of the team to try and bring some kind of peace to Ukraine, talking about partitioning the country, essentially.
Well, yes, and this has already been hugely controversial because he compared it to partitioning like Berlin, and obviously that has a very... I'm sure that this was simply ill-phrased, but the implication is obviously the comparison there is a very unfortunate one because, of course, Ukraine is not the aggressor here, so you can't really compare them to Nazi Germany, even if by mistake. And he has since rode back on these remarks and said they were taken out of context. But it does seem like the Americans have a very unfortunate habit of offending their allies at the moment.
But also, the other thing it tells us as well is that they're going to go forward with this idea that part of Ukraine is just in Russia's now.
Yes, exactly, and it's a very depressive development because it basically indication that the Dnieper River could now become a demarcation line, which is what people had long suspected.
Yeah, absolutely. Your paper does some great work on Ukraine, by the way. I've been enjoying listening to the Ukraine podcast.
I'll be sure to pass that on.
Please.
Thank you.
I'm a big fan. Let's move on to the Mirror. And this is about the honours list, isn't it?
Yes.
The Mirror headline, Lord Gove really with him dancing. And I remember that video. I mean, is that fair? Is that unfair? I don't know. You tell me.
Well, I think the Mirror slightly has it in for Michael Gove. They had a really intrusive and I thought quite unpleasant news story where they had a reporter go to a restaurant where he was just having a meal with his girlfriend. This was when he was no longer a politician and he was the Spectator editor. It was very intrusive and I think that it was... A lot of people thought they'd gone a bit too far. I mean, to be fair, the dancing video, I mean, it's saying that people who dance shouldn't be... I think the problem the general problem with the Lords goes much bigger than this. Basically, every few months there's a furore because there's the latest list of cronies that have been put into the Lords. I'd say, I mean, I'm a big fan of Michael Gove, but, I think he's actually he's a very intelligent guy, even if you don't agree with him. There are a lot of much less impressive people in the Lords on both sides.
More from you next hour. Thank you very much for that. We'll have more.
Jubilation in the